Welcome back to the Ticket Setup series. In today's session, we're going to focus in on setting up and configuring Notification Center. Now, Notification Center is our ability to provide more control over some of the out-of-the-box notifications that we send to end users, as well as give you the ability to create any type of email and or Teams notification in addition to a lot of the out-of-the-box notifications that we have in the solution. To highlight this, we're going to work across two personas. On the left-hand side here is Adele. She's my end user. She'll be working against tickets as well as receiving notifications in Ticket Virtual Agent. And then on the right-hand side here is Diego. He's my agent. He'll be working in the Ticket app, which is the agent app for Ticket. He'll also be administrating Ticket and working through some of the setup and configuration. Now, when you install Tikit, there's two apps. There's the Ticket app and the end user app. There's also an email experience. And out of the box, we provide a lot of seamless notifications based upon your assignment of a ticket. So to highlight just some of these just real quickly, Diego as an agent will be working out of the Ticket app. And if he's assigned a ticket, anytime another end user or another agent touches a ticket that he's assigned to, he will receive an automatic update in the Ticket app, letting him know that something's happening to something that he's responsible for. That happens out of the box. Adele, complementary to that, will be working out of Ticket Virtual Agent. This is her self-service home. And if she's a requester of a ticket, and if Diego were to change the status of a ticket or change the assignee of a ticket, Adele will automatically receive updates for those changes as that ticket is traveling. If a ticket was created via email, that same type of functionality happens for Adele. As the ticket's traveling, she will receive out-of-the-box notifications for any tickets created via email. Now, we're going to work through two parts of this video. The first is going to focus in on how do I tune the end user experience, and specifically, how do I maybe churn off some of the out-of-the-box notifications to the end user? And we'll talk about why you'd want to do that as well. And then second is, how do I create new notifications that are complementary to some of the out-of-the-box notifications, and then why you'd want to do that as well. So to highlight some of the setup and configuration here, what we'll do is we'll travel over to Diego's side. And this is all going to happen inside of the Ticket Agent portal. So web.ticket.ai. And for Diego to manage Notification Center, there's a couple places he'll do that, but he'll have to travel over to Settings, and then he'll go into Notification Center here. And this is the first place where he would go. In Notification Center here within the Settings area, this is our ability to tune down and adjust some of the requester notifications that are sent out automatically across Ticket Virtual Agent as well as email. Now, you'll see that they're pretty similar, and effectively, if you want to tune down something, all you have to do is deselect that respective checkbox and then save this area of the product. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, you may think some of the out-of-the-box notifications may be a little bit too noisy for your end users. What we found in our feedback is that status change and assignee change may be a little too noisy for your end users. I'll save those and I'll explain why. So the reason why that is that maybe you don't want to let your end users know every single time a ticket status changes. Maybe you're doing a lot of active depending changes based upon some sort of internal workflow. That's a little bit noisy for your end user, so you can turn that off. But you probably want to let the end user know when a ticket's resolved using an automation, which we'll talk about in part 2 of this setup session, to create a Notification Center notification. You can be very specific and intentional and say, when a ticket's resolved, I want to send a Teams and or email notification. Same thing goes for assignee. Maybe you don't want to let your end users know every single time a ticket's reassigned. Sometimes can be a little bit noisy, so you would churn that off here. The other thing I want to highlight in terms of just kind of a little bit of a visual difference here is that you do have the ability to churn off the default out-of-the-box responses when a ticket is created for Ticket Virtual Agent and email. But you'll notice that if you keep the email one on, you have the ability to modify the out-of-the-box notification here for the email. The reason we don't show it for Ticket Virtual Agent here is because the mechanism we use to deliver Teams notifications and give you control over that experience is inside of the automation experience. And it's a very distinct experience that we need to bring back to automation. So the net is that if you disable the default creation notification here, or if you keep it enabled, you can't adjust it. But if you do want to adjust it, you would disable it here, and you would go into automations and create a notification center automation for when a ticket is created. What do I want to send the end user via Ticket Virtual Agent? So again, this is just tuning down the notifications if you wanted to do that. Now, if you want to add more notifications, we can highlight that in the next session here. So to add more notifications, what we're going to do is we're going to go to automation. And in automation is the ability to evaluate any internal ticket property and then do certain things. There's effectively 4 things you can do. You can create a new ticket, you can update an existing ticket, you can apply a template to a ticket, and the 4th one is creating a notification center automation, which is delivering a Teams and our email notification. And what we'll do here is we'll use an example that is pretty common in a request from our customers, and we'll use that as an anchor to build out this automation. So in this example, and I mentioned this earlier, when you're assigned a ticket, anytime an end user or another agent touches that ticket, you're going to be sent a notification. But maybe you also want an update to happen to the assigned group when an end user adds a comment. It can be specific to a certain group, or maybe it could just be just a general blanket statement. Whenever an end user, adds a comment to a ticket, I want the assigned group as well to receive a notification in Teams and our email. So we'll use that as the anchor example here, and then we'll kind of walk through how to do that. So for the title here, I'm just going to say send notification to assigned group when a comment is added. And I'll leave the description blank, it's optional. Select enabled here. And there's a whole setup session on automations that walks through a lot of the mechanics here. I'm not going to focus on that here. I'm just going to kind of build it out here. But if you want a review of the mechanics of how automations work, I would recommend watching that and then coming back here. So in this particular automation, we're going to say on an event. And we are going to focus in on the ticket entity because we care about when a comment's added to a ticket, send a notification to the assigned group. But you can choose different entities, which then adjust not only the filters and the options around them, but also adjust notification center as well. And I'm going to come back to that in a few moments here once we start playing around with this a little bit. So I have the ability to adjust the entity. I have the ability to set my properties. And then I also have the ability to do something. So if my property equals true, go do something. And that do in this example is a notification center notification. And what you'll see here is that there's 2 different types of notifications. There's Teams as well as email. And if you were to enable one or both of them, you're going to expose recipient options. Now, these recipient options are very similar across both. And the idea here is that you can send a notification to any of the assignment options on a ticket. I'm actually going to focus in on Teams notifications because they're very similar construct. And once you get that, email is pretty self-explanatory. But I wanted to highlight that similarity. Now, the other thing I want to highlight here is depending on the recipient of the notification, you're going to see one or two things happen. So if I choose requester, what you're going to notice here on the right-hand side is Tikit virtual agent is going to light up. The reason for that is because we send notifications to the requester via the Tikit virtual agent app. Now, watch what happens when I click assignee. Tikit lights up. And the reason for that is because we send notifications to the assignees to the Tikit app. So there's a very important distinction there. And we let you do both if that automation merits it. But depending on the type of recipient, they will receive a notification in Tikit virtual agent or the Tikit app. Just a real quick scrape of this, group goes to the Tikit app, team goes to the Tikit app, approver goes to Tikit virtual agent, assignee, task assignee goes to the Tikit app, collaborators goes to the Tikit app, affected users goes to Tikit virtual agent, and then selected users, because you can specify individuals as well that may not be assigned to a ticket in some capacity, will go to Tikit virtual agent. Okay, so now that we've reviewed the recipient options, there's another thing I want to highlight here that's really, really important, is the actual constructs of the card. So you'll see here a couple of things. One, you can type any words you want, and we will pass that through to the notification. The second thing is you're seeing these kind of blue highlights. These are ticket properties. So if I want to add more properties, I just do open curly brackets twice. I get all the ticket properties and lets me curate the message. You're also seeing two options at the bottom of each section. This checkbox is a super important checkbox. And what this does is if we send a notification around a ticket, and then we send another notification out of the box, we just send a new separate distinct notification in Tikit or Tikit virtual agent. And it almost looks like a chat history, which is pretty useful. But there are some examples where you may want to update the original notification and resend with a new notification. An example would be status change. Maybe you don't want the old pending status to be there. You want, once a ticket goes to resolved, it to be replaced with the resolved notification. We will remove the pending one, and then we will add the resolved one. So there's no confusion. We know that this ticket is resolved, and if I scroll up and look through my chat history, we see that it's resolved. So that's a super important checkbox to understand what that does. The next thing I want to highlight here is these select card options. These are driven by the entity type. So currently I have ticket selected. If I scroll down here and I choose select card for ticket, I'm going to get the different types of notifications that an assignee, team, group would receive in the Tikit app. Now, and complementary to that, same thing for Tikit virtual agent. For change to a ticket, these are the different types of notifications we'll get. I'm going to talk about these in more detail in a second, but I want to highlight something before. If I change the entity type, I'm telling Notification Center that I want to change the type of notification. So as an example, if I click approvals, what happens here, and approvals are sent to Tikit virtual agent, what you'll see here is the card options change. I'm now able to send an approval card to the approvers to do something. If I choose entity, tasks are sent to the Tikit app. So what you'll see here for the card selection, I am now presented the Tikit task card, allowing for an assignee of a task to action that respective task. So I just want you to connect that the entity influences the type of cards that you're going to be able to send based upon the automation you're trying to focus in on. Now I'm going to switch this back to my ticket entity. The other thing I want to highlight here before I actually finish building this out is the actual card options. As I was traveling between entities, you saw it, but coming back to Tikit, there's different flavors of Teams messages you can send. They're technically called cards in Microsoft Teams. And we are presenting some of the options that we give out of the box and allowing you to tune them. So we have 3 different options: simple, generic, and edit ticket card for the ticket entity. And all this really is doing is tuning up the information that's being presented across these cards. So simple is very simple. It's taking the content from the message that you have in the window behind this, bringing it surface and just sending a message. Generic is a little bit more information. And then edit is a full edit ticket card giving you actions here. The other thing I want to highlight here is that you're seeing these purple areas. These purple areas are influenced by what you have in the body of the message. So as I'm building out a notification, I can see how that affects the end result to the end user. And that's passed through here visually. Now I know there's a lot here, but once you do it once, it's pretty simple. And you're going to come in here with intention, and you're going to know exactly what you want to do, because there's a scenario where you want to add notifications to Teams or email. And once you have the basic building blocks of how this works, it's very straightforward to set up. Okay, so let me finish setting this up so we can kind of play with this a little bit. Okay, so I want to send a notification to the assigned group when a comment's added. And I have that enabled. I'm doing it on an event. I'm actually going to do it when a ticket's modified, because the comment's added when a ticket's already created and modified. I'm keeping my if on here, and I'm choosing the property of new comment. And valuation type is going to be none in this particular example. The operator, though, that I want to add here is by requester. So what I'm saying here is that whenever a ticket has a new comment added by a requester, I want to go do something. In my example, I'm going to do the action type of notification center, and I'm going to send a Teams notification, which is already enabled. And I want to send that to the group assignment. I don't care about the selected users in this example. So I'm sending a group assignment through the ticket app to the members of the assigned group of that ticket. And then I had the ability to curate the message and then choose my card. So in this one, I may want to say new comment added here for the title, so I have some little more context. One other thing I should mention here is that this title here is actually brought over into the notification you receive, a little toast notification in Teams and on your phone, and with respect to the Teams notification. So it's very intentional here, right? You want to provide a summary of what's happening here so that when someone receives that notification, they can see if they care or not of actually clicking on it and reviewing that particular notification for that ticket. Now, what you're seeing here is just kind of an out-of-the-box example, so you get a feel for what you want to add here, or adjust or curate. I'm actually just going to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to say new comment added by and do requester, and that. And then I will get rid of this actually. Simple here. I'll remove these properties. I think that will look good. We'll find out when we actually test it. But so that's the message I want to send. And for the card itself, I'm going to choose generic. I don't need to action it just yet. I just want to send a note to the group, let them know the new a new comment was added. And then if they want to further action that ticket, they can click on view here to bring the full ticket back and then work on it. So I'll go ahead and confirm that. I'm not doing email, but if I were to do email, as well, I could choose email and group, and that would take effect. So, oh, and actually I should highlight this as well. If I did that, I can further curate that notification for email as well to the assigned group members. Okay, so we'll click save here. I think that is set up well. So I'll create that automation. And then what we'll do is we'll test it. So I'm going to move back over to Teams here. And I have a ticket here, ticket 3023. This one is assigned to the service desk group. Diego is a member of the service desk group. So when Adele here on the left-hand side adds a comment to the ticket, Diego on the right-hand side should receive a comment added notification based upon what we just created. So let's go say just. Okay, requester is sending that in, which is adding the comment. That should trigger that automation. And then on the right-hand side here, when that new comment's added, we'll see our Teams message come through. So here's my adjusted title. Here is my new comment was added. Now, looking at this a little bit, I might make some tweaks. Maybe I wouldn't include the request title. I'm actually realizing that the latest comment is added by default in the general card, so maybe I would adjust some of the wording here to just highlight that a new comment was added, and we can review that here. But that's the whole point, right? You're going to experience this, you're going to tweak it, you're going to tune it, and you're going to build whatever type of notifications that you want to deliver across Teams and our email. I want to highlight this so it wasn't lost. Why are we doing this? Well, this ticket wasn't assigned to anyone, but the end user added a comment. And maybe in some workflows, I want to ensure that when a new comment's added, I'm also sending that to the assigned group. Had Diego been assigned to this ticket, he would have received a notification directly to him. Again, so just to give you ideas and to think about what's possible. Well, this is where we're going to end the setup session. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please email team@tikit.ai.